Hi friends, today we're going to be creating synthetic dreadlocks. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's take a look at the tools that we have in front of us. We have a C-clamp. I'll tell you what that's for in a little bit. We have a lice comb. I know, gross, but whatever. My rusty, dusty, trusty, crusty comb. It's almost 20 years old and I love it. We have single prong crochet hooks in a variety of sizes, a 3-prong and a 2-prong crochet hook. I'm gonna show you how to use those as well. This is 100% Connectulon. This is synthetic hair that we're going to be working with. What I love about Connectulon is that you can seal the hair with hot water and it gives a similar effect to what natural dreadlocks would look like once it's locked up. So this is our Connectulon. I'm gonna go ahead and take a portion of this. Let's go ahead and pinch that and separate it. I'm gonna put this off screen and we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna show you how to tie this portion onto our C-clamp. So we're gonna grab our Connectulon. I'm gonna make the longest locks possible. It's gonna be a little bit ridiculous how long it is, but I'm just gonna show you how to do it. You probably aren't gonna want yours this longer, maybe you do, but instead of tying this at the center, I'm gonna tie it closer to the tip. Wrapping it around. I don't want the hair to touch the ground because ew, gross. And you wrap the hair around and you begin your process. So now that that's wrapped around your C-clamp, yes, I can apply a lot of tension. I'm gonna back comb it just a little bit to get started. Ooh, that's gonna make a shaky noise, isn't it? Figure out which of our crochet hooks is going to do the best. Oh, that is going to make a shaky noise. So, getting back to where we were before, we have our C-clamp on our tabletop. We have our extension hair wrapped around, and we're going to go ahead and back comb it. I did 1 or 2 stitches with the crochet hook, and that's when all the noise started, but we're gonna go ahead and back comb, and I'm gonna tell you how to do that a little bit more detailed. So when back combing hair, you insert your comb and press. You can do it in small areas. So you place your comb inside, press forward towards, well, this is gonna be the root, but pressing towards the tip of the C-clamp. So grabbing it and just going up and into it. I'll do it pretty slow. So we're creating some nice tangles in there. I'm not getting it too big. You can see that I'm not making it massive. I'll give a good example of what not to do. I'll push this further away and work within this area. So you don't want to start from the very tippy tip and just try to back comb everything as fast as you can as much. That's not going to get you anywhere fast. Although it feels like it, it's pretty counterproductive. What you're going to want to do, smaller areas. I work within about 4 inches feeding that hair and back combing. Once you get used to it, you can go fast, like really fast, but try to get as much as that back comb. Scooch that closer. I like that the tools are rattling now. Okay, I'm gonna place that down. I'm gonna try out a couple of my different crochet hooks. So crochet hooks come in different sizes, the tips do. So I like to keep a few handy to see what is going to work and fit in the hair that I'm using. So each hair has a different circumference. Hair shaft is a different size. And depending on what size crochet hook you use, you can match it up to match the hair. Ooh, yeah, that feels good. So that gives us a good base stitch to start working. I'm going to go ahead and grab, let's start with my 3-prong. There we go. So my 3-prong, I'm going to be crocheting the interior portion of my dreadlock just to give a nice, consistent lock and knot. So I'm pulling pushing it through, pulling some of that hair out. You pivot, push and pull. If you look closely, you can see the hair is being pulled out. So it's being pulled from one side into the other. So this is gonna give a really nice, consistent knot and lock throughout. So if you look at the angle that I'm going in, that's about a 45-degree angle. With the crochet hook is about a 45-degree angle to the hair. I'm moving the crochet hook down into the shaft and out the other side and pulling that hair through. Pivot the lock, insert that crochet hook, grabbing hair from the other side and pulling it up and out each time. So when you're first starting, don't feel bad that you move slow. Who cares? It's all about your form and what you're creating. So speed comes with time, and the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. Ooh, here's a good opportunity. So I feel this hair is getting pretty straight right here, and it's getting thin. We're gonna go ahead and bring our comb in again. For this hair, I know I showed you the lice comb, but my rusty, dusty, crusty comb is really doing the job for me. So I'm gonna go through and back comb that a little bit more to build that body back up. Let's see, I feel like it's a little thin right here, so let's back comb some more. And that's a good point, right there. Go through. So with my less dominant hand, I'm using it to pinch the hair around the crochet hook as well. I really love using that technique. It ensures that the hair gets caught on the crochet hook. So you'll see me pinching it as I go. I know I move a little fast sometimes, but that's what's going on. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this lock all the way down. So we're pivoting it, looking at it 360 to see if there are any areas that we need to retouch. There's some straight parts right here, but let's go ahead and see it. I'm gonna go ahead and crochet some more out of here. So I'm gonna grab hair from behind, flip it the correct way, and then pull that out. That's gonna happen to you a lot. If it feels like you're struggling, maybe look at the orientation of your crochet hook. Just a tip. Okay, so that looks good. And I'm gonna stretch it out and see if there are any weak points. Stretching is important. Make sure that it's all not bunching on itself. So it is stretched out. I'm feeling for any nodules. If you have any nodules, sometimes you can use your fingers to roll them out and manipulate them, pulling them, and just kind of mashing that hair around. Feel for any soft spots. If there are any soft spots, crochet, build a little bit more body. But that feels good. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step with a single hook, crochet hook. Okay, so I'm gonna move kind of slow for you so you can see what's going on. What I'm doing is using my crochet hook. Watch my right hand and how I pivot it. And how I position my fingers. I think that it's really important where the hook is compared to your less dominant hand. So I like to play almost like a fiddle, play like a violin, where you're putting your crochet hook above your finger. This is going to help you from stabbing, or help you to prevent you from stabbing. And it's wild. This is harder for me to do it slow than it is for me to do it fast. I've been doing this for so long that this is like breaking my brain to do it so slow. But let's go ahead and slow that down one more time. I'm moving around. I'm gonna pivot this just so you can see what I'm doing. I churn the crochet hook and I'm grabbing hair from the other side. Pivot it again, grab hair again, and then push it in. And do that as many times until your crochet hook feels like you can't move anymore. It gets so tight. Then you gently remove the crochet hook. Move on a little bit lower, and you repeat that process. You grab a little hair, pivot it. Grab a little hair, pivot it. Grab a little hair, pivot it. Grab a little hair, pivot. until it's too tight, and you kind of work your way from the outside and you work your way into the center. And as you get closer to the center, it gets too tight and you remove it. Loc. So this is a three-dimensional thing. You don't just want to put all of your beautiful work on one side. You really want to make sure that the entirety of the lock is looking beautiful. So let's go ahead and speed this up and pivot. Something I didn't mention is that I'm using the inside of my hand as a point, as an anchoring point. So kind of in where my pinky is, and everybody's hands are a different size. So this is gonna be different for each individual, but I use my pinky as an anchoring point. So right on the inside of the pad of my pinky. That way when I need to push it, I can press it up against my hand. So when you're close to the end, go ahead and look at the lock to see if there are any areas that look like they need some more work. So that's gonna be more bulbous areas. I left this one intentionally so that you could see that there's some like straight hair right there. So what I'm going to do is crochet around and just hit it one more time for good measure. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. No lock is perfect. So, or all locks are perfect. That's a better way of saying it. And I wanted to leave this portion for the end as well. So we're gonna do a blunted tip lock. So I left about 4 or 5 inches uncrocheted. You can back comb this last little rat tail in. So you can do that with a comb or with your fingers, grabbing from one end, pinching and pushing that hair towards the lock. And then whatever loose hair is left, you can kind of wrap that around and then incorporate it into the tip of the lock with the crochet hook. So I'm gonna do a couple stitches with the crochet hook and then look at these loose hairs again. Let's make this really blunt. So fold it back in on itself. I'm pinching it in between 2 fingers. Crocheting again. Just a quick stitch. Let's look at that. Let's get back to this in a second. We're gonna crochet, incorporate all of these hairs. Get those in really good. Okay, let's focus on this tip for a second. Okay, so with these guys, what I'm gonna do, pinch and twist, so I'm rolling the hairs in between my fingers to get them a little bit more rough, as well as get them to combine with one another to like pre-tangle as well as like lock it. It's like a little baby dreadlock. So you can either push that up or you can grab your crochet hook, feed it through the center of the lock, use your less dominant hand to pinch and press that loose hair up against the hook of the crochet hook and pull it up and in. So again, you feed your crochet hook in through the center of the dreadlock, pinch whatever hair, press it up against the crochet hook, the hook portion, the open end, pushing it and pulling your hook at the same time. So that helps to incorporate that tangle into your lock. Okay, and then you crochet it in just to kind of reinforce that tip. And you can either use a single crochet hook. Whoop. You can either use a single crochet hook to do this very tip portion, a double, or a triple. double for this. It's gonna give us a little bit more control, and it's about the right width. So I'm doing that using my thumb to press up against the hooks so that we can grab those hairs. Beautiful, that feels really great. Okay. Gorgeous. These little hairs, we can trim those off. They are all loose hairs. There are no loops, so we can get those trimmed if we really care about it that much. Okay. So that's it for that portion. The next part that we would want to do is to steam these or get them, put like boiling water on them. So because we don't have a teapot or a stovetop here in the shop, what we're gonna do is microwave a cup of water. Awesome. So I've gone ahead and lined my basin with a towel. That way I can keep my Locs sanitary. I know I just touched the inside of it, but you know what I'm saying. If you're doing this for real, go ahead and make sure you practice any type of sanitation procedures that you can think of. So I lined my shampoo bowl with a towel. I'm going to place my Loc down there, and I have a piping hot cup of water. Be careful, dear God, please be careful. And I'm going to gently pour, or intentionally pour, on the Loc. So this is going to help to seal all of that texture that we've created in that Loc. Oh, that's beautiful. So ideally you'd want like a tea kettle or a steamer, but because we're in the salon, I typically would do this at my home. This is what we're doing, so you don't need a lot to make it happen. Oh no. Beautiful. Go ahead and let that Loc cool, and when it's ready to touch and is cooled down sufficiently, you will grab it and let it dry out. Connectulon is really good at drying out, so you don't really have to worry about it staying like moist or growing mold. So as it's drying, I am pulling this just so it doesn't shrink too much, because Locs have a tendency to want to like shrink in on themselves, but this feels really great. And there you have it. You have a beautiful Loc extension that's ready to apply in your hair. And maybe in one of these next videos, I'll show you how to put it in your Locs or your loose hair.